I'd just like to start this episode with a PSA to all the kids and the teenagers out there, even the young adults, those of you who still have hope and optimism in life. Just remember that everything is pain, everything hurts, and you will be old before you know it.
Oh, anyone who's older who tells you, oh, trust me, like, you're 25, you're 27, you're 28, you're 22, like, you still have plenty of time, like, you're still young and spry, they're lying to you. It's a joke by the generation ahead of you, so you're surprised by when everything in your body fails you, and you degrade into nothingness, and you're held together by Vicodin and Scotch tape.
Literally. That's not a metaphor.
Dib's band name, Vicodin and Scotch tape. Your hangovers last the morning. Congrats, you hit 23. They now last 3 business days.
I was at a Christmas party. Sorry, I was at technically 2 Christmas parties Saturday night because at my new job I found out about the Christmas party they were having the day I started. I started off Monday, the Christmas party was this Saturday. They're like, hey, you should come out. And I'm like, I've already been invited to an ugly Christmas sweater party. And they're like, come to the dinner then. It's at like 7 and then you can go to that after. I'm like, oh. It's great, you know, show up, have like a beer, have a meal on the company's dime. Sounds good. Great people, actually love this company. And 3 hours later, I'm still there. I'm like, oh crap, we gotta go. Me and Crystal legitimately thought it was like 8:30, so we're like, yeah, we're fine. We checked the thing. Bye, everybody. Then we get to the other party, getting needless details in a story that's making another point. So we go to this party. I don't get home until it's about 3 in the morning. Now, again, for those of you under the age of 23. 3 in the morning for me is like you showing up at noon the next day.
It is. You don't do it.
We had someone at our house watching Mika. Crystal's nephew's here, so it's not like I had to put her to bed or anything. But she was in the building, and I was in the building, which means when she woke up the next day, I woke up the next day. I didn't feel right again until Wednesday.
Oh God.
I slept like 4 hours one night, and it ruined me.
There's not much to be done about it either. And if you say, well, at least I have, a full head of hair, yeah, it'll start receding too.
Says you.
You know what? Your hairline is...
one of my few genetic gifts is my hair is stupid thick and hasn't thinned at all.
Mine's thick. It's starting to thin out a little bit. The sides are going up, but then again, I can't complain. I think there's people in my family who started balding at like 15. So
to be fair, I found some grays already. So.
Oh, gray! Yeah, grays happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
As long as they don't reach my beard. If my beard starts going gray, then I'm supposed to start.
I feel like it's more acceptable in the beard than the head.
It is, but that's true age, right? Like you can't. Anyone can get gray hairs. You have a rough week studying for exams in first year, you'll get some gray hairs. In your beard, that's like a punch to the face from the fountain of youth. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast.
The first gray beard hair pops, and you just have this immense urge to pour a glass of scotch, yell at some kids, and put a glass case protector over the house thermostat.
I was like, yeah, those are 2 toss-up jokes. That's not that funny, but the glass case with the thermostat got me. That's good.
I am that guy now. Though Crystal's not allowed to touch the thermostat if you adjust it 1 degree. Fahrenheit. I notice. It's bad.
Someone tried to tell me you can't tell the difference in the air if you adjust the thermostat by 1. I can tell half-degree differences, legitimately. But I don't know what it is. When I was younger, I never used to run hot, but I do now, like very, very warm all the time. We set the house to like 17.5 degrees Celsius at night, and I'm still roasting.
I have legitimately gotten so old, and my inner heater is so bad that whether I run hot or cold literally depends on if I'm running a cut or bulk. It's the most depressing thing ever.
On today's episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, well, actually, first, for those of you who are still learning how to decipher us, I'm Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
Evan Lobsinger's not here. He is vacationing in Idaho, is it?
Wyoming.
Georgia. Is it actually Wyoming?
I think it's actually Wyoming.
It's Jackson, right?
Jackson, Wyoming. Jackson sounds like it's either Texas or Wyoming with a name like that.
If you're in Jackson, anywhere in the U.S., go to the popular snowboarding or skiing spot. I feel like that's what he would be doing.
Oh, yeah, definitely what he's doing.
Evan Lobsinger leaves Ontario when snow falls to go snowboarding elsewhere. Weird guy.
He is. Maybe Blue Mountain just doesn't cut it for him.
No, he's too ritzy for Blue Mountain. I think his girlfriend is ritzier than him, and I think that's why he's going so upset.
I think that's probably why we've never formally hung out with her.
Well, that's true, yeah.
I've never even met her yet. They've been together for over a year.
It has been a year. Oh my god.
Last November, yeah.
Evan, if you're listening, which we know you're not, but if you're listening, this is what happens when you miss the podcast. We air out your laundry. Kat, we're excited to meet you. On today's episode of the podcast, we don't have not much happened. The Red Wings played 2 games, and they were both on opposite ends of the Red Wings spectrum, which
no, they were on exact ends of the. They got outplayed in both games, won one, lost one. That's about par for the course this season.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I would have expected in those 2 games.
There's a continuation of the Jimmy Howard story, which isn't terribly surprising, but I guess it was formalized in our report, so we'll talk about it some more. Not much is happening else around the league. We'll talk about St. Louis, we'll talk about Chicago sucking.
St. Louis is going to be an entertaining topic. It's like the only thing I'm excited to talk about today.
And then we're just going to shoot the shoot. So
yeah, there's going to be filler content this episode. Brace yourselves.
I'm happy this is a midweek episode. So if
it is.
We'll lean into your overtime questions a little bit more, but besides that,
I need Tyler Bertuzzi to like kick someone tomorrow, just so we have something to talk about on Sunday.
I know that everyone's collective testosterone levels has dropped since he hasn't done anything since he's been back.
Yeah,
that really took the wind out of his sails, eh?
Yeah,
he's playing fine, but he was on a heater before.
Cholowski had a nice one again. Cholowski and Larkin had like highlight reel goals against LA.
Yeah, Cholowski's
comes with the asterisks against LA, but still.
All right, first, they like every opinion on that LA game has to come with this qualifier. Oh my God, LA is bad. They are. Watching them was like watching the Packers play Mike McCarthy's second last game as coach, where like just nothing was happening on offense and they were sluggish and slow. And LA looked out of sorts at best. Everyone.
Well, that joke I made last week about Mike McCarthy's offensive game plan, just had on a piece of paper. Let Aaron Rodgers run around and do cool shit. I'm pretty sure that's just LA replaced Aaron Rodgers with Andrzej Kopitar.
Honestly. And he was out there often, which I guess is your only real option when your team is kind of lacking for players who can make something happen. Drew Doughty got absolutely dummied by a dangle from Dylan Larkin.
To be fair, I don't think Doughty should be taking any of the blame on that.
Oh,
he was, because the highlight was Larkin undressing him. But I don't know who gave Larkin that pass, and it was a Kings player, by the way, for those who missed it.
Fantastic pass.
It was the best pass Larkin's received all year, and Doughty was going up ice the other way, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, one of the fastest players in the league with sick hands is coming in on me in the slot. What do I do? And his option was, I'm going to fall down.
That goal, A, is going to go on his career highlight reel. B, cemented it for me. This is no longer another big step for Dylan Larkin. This is no longer a season where we saw him take that next step up that we need to see from him for him to be the team's, for now, undisputed first-line center and star player. This is his coming out party for the league. Everyone in the league is now taking notice of Dylan Larkin. Like, granted, for Red Wings fans, you'll say, well, no, obviously. But it makes sense. The guy is tearing it up. Has absolutely not slowed down in terms of dazzling, and I hate being a football commentator, like saying these kind of football commentator things. He has a clutch factor. He legitimately has a clutch factor.
Settle down there, Joe Buck.
Yeah, but he does, like, overtime winners, goals to tie the game, like take a huge lead or capitalize on a crazy turnover like what happened with LA. The guy is clutch. He makes it happen, and that's a huge shift from what he used to be. He used to, choke up or grip the stick too hard or try to overcomplicate things. That that intercepted pass and then walk in on LA was just absolutely gorgeous. Moving through the rest of the game, Detroit didn't look amazing. They just never looked worse than LA. But LA still outshot them.
It was like 42-24 or something like that. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, despite Larkin playing great and having like that awesome goal, Jimmy Howard still technically stole them the game. He made like 43 saves, I think.
Yeah, it's something insane like that. And it's LA. You're giving up 40 plus shots to what? The bottom 2 offensive teams in the NHL?
Yeah, Greg Krupa tweeted out statistics, and I can't remember what stats exactly it was, but like team statistics where Detroit and LA both ranked the worst. And I was like, the stoppable force versus the movable object. Who was gonna win? And it was Detroit.
Just like we were talking about with the Bills versus Lions this weekend. The Bills' offensive line versus the Lions' defensive line. Nobody's gonna do anything.
No.
They're gonna stand there and stare at each other.
Absolutely. They're gonna start both teams with 20 points just so someone finishes with something.
They're just gonna reverse the line to throw everything off.
That still might not work. I looked at a chart of the best NFL seasons by a quarterback in terms of passing yards and touchdowns, so very like rudimentary statistics. And most of the seasons were Peyton Manning, Tom Brady's, Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes is already on there. Matt Stafford has a dot on that chart, which makes me so happy and so sad at the same time. It makes me so sad because he's having such a bad year. Anyways, back to hockey. Detroit won that game against LA. Really, not going to say they shouldn't have because LA got a lot of shots, but they didn't look like they dominated at any point. It's just Detroit did their usual play for 30 minutes and then just...
Yeah, and there is something to be said for...
quality of shot.
And the score dictates the shot. Like the thing. Now, this circle...
Yeah, if Jeff Blashill's the coach, yes.
It's every team's guilty of it because you do see there's like data that proves when a team is losing... A heavy majority of the time, they will outshoot the other team from that point on, no matter who's playing. If Ottawa's playing Tampa Bay and Tampa's winning 3-1, Ottawa's probably going to take the majority of the shots the rest of the game. They're going to play a little more reckless. They're going to... It doesn't always equal the higher quality chances, because playing that way, you'll give up a lot more 2-on-1s and whatnot. But yeah, having Jeff Blashill as your coach just exacerbates the issue, because his prevent defense that has never worked. Like, never in the... Anyways... I'm not going another Blashill rant. I'm done there. Washington game.
I'm not going to say I'm glad the Washington game happened, but the predictable cycle happens with Red Wings the Detroit Red Wings every year where they're bad. The team starts off poorly. People start making honest, objective opinions and predictions about the outlook for the team. The team goes on a heater or a tear because they play a bunch at home, or the right players score at the right times, or the goalie gets hot, like what's been happening in Detroit.
Ding.
And then the I don't want to be too dismissive here because obviously anything can happen, and it's not like what we say is gospel, but the unrealistic fans come out and start rooting for like a playoff spot, or they think the team can contend, and it's just.
Still down there, Ken Holland.
Yeah, I promise you. I'm not saying it's impossible for this team to make a wild card spot. Like, no, it can for sure happen. I don't think it's likely, but crazier things have happened. Leicester City won the Premier League title 1 year, so obviously anything can happen. But if this team makes the playoffs, they're getting thrashed harder than the Thrashers would right now if they made the playoffs.
Yeah, that'd be as crazy as like an expansion team going to the finals.
Anyways. So that happens, and they go on a tear, and that was coming out after the Kings game. A lot of people were saying that, like, I
didn't they lose the game before?
Oh yeah, but it's and then the Washington game where Detroit actually played a really good team, and from start to finish, that was an absolute. It was like being hit in the face with a club. Watching the game, I can only imagine how the players felt.
I did see the tweets and the Facebook posts and everything about after the Kings game where people were still on the hype train. I didn't get to watch the Wings Capitals game because Crystal and I took Mika to the Kitchener Rangers teddy bear toss game, which was infinitely more fun.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Small aside, my 2020 draft pet project on Sabrango scored his first OHL goal that game, so that was cool. Anyways. I am not too proud to admit that I got the notification at the game end, Washington 6, Detroit 2, and I just kind of mumbled to myself, good.
At least they scored.
Good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's the fans, the team, or Blashill who needed the wake-up call to realize, hey, you're not actually good, stop pretending like you are. Good. And again, it's not that I necessarily want the Red Wings to play for the tank. It's not that I want the Red Wings to lose. It's not that I want them to do bad. It's that I want them... All I want out of this team, I'm not even going to say team, out of the coaching staff and the management, is to be realistic. Are they the worst team in the NHL? No. Are they in the conversation for it? Maybe, but realistically, no. Are they even close to a playoff contender? No.
Not even close.
Treat the season as such. Dennis Cholowski's ice time has been plummeting over the last couple weeks. Michael Rasmussen's ice time is not up there, although he's been struggling lately. Eriksson and Green are game time decisions for tomorrow. They might not play, and they've already said that if they can't go, Lashoff and Witkowski. The fact that that's not Hronek, I'm using Hronek because he's the one who deserves it most. He's got 18 points in 20 games. He's a second-year defenseman in the AHL, and he was a half a point per game player in his 6 NHL games. The fact it's not him going in there is asinine, but I digress. This is the kind of stuff that can't happen this year. Again, I don't care if they win or lose the game, but Cholowski needs to be top 2, top 3 ice time defenseman every night. Michael Rasmussen needs to be top 9 minutes every night, first power play unit. When there's injuries, Philip Hronek needs to be on speed dial. Because he has to be protected in the expansion draft no matter what, because this is his second pro season and he's over the age of 20. He doesn't have the same stipulations Zadina does. We don't care if he plays 9 games, we don't care if he plays 70 games, it's irrelevant to him. Play him. And I'm not even saying play him for the rest of the year. He had his shaky moments at the beginning of the season. I thought he was better than every defenseman on the team, not named Cholowski at the beginning. But he had his shaky moments. Get him in games. Even if he just, injury, he's up for 3, back down for 20. Up for 4, back down for 15. Up for 3, back down for 10, and then finish the last 6 games. And fine, I don't care. It's a 3-hour drive from Grand Rapids to Detroit. You're not killing them travel-wise. And you're gearing him up for next year because you have 2 vacancies coming with Cronwall and Jensen leaving. Prepare the kid. And yes, the AHL is valuable, and that's why I'm not saying bring him up and keep him up. But when you get a chance to expose him to what he needs to adapt to, it only adds to his brain. This is what I need to do. This is what I have to prepare for.
There is literally zero value. I mean 0 value to bringing up Witkowski or Lashoff. Unless in any circumstance other than you need a body in the press box.
That's what I was going to say. I won't use the term bringing up. I will use the term playing. Subbing in for injuries. I didn't hate when they called up Lashoff the last time because there were still 6 healthy defensemen. You knew he wasn't going to play a minute.
Yeah.
I'd rather him sit in the press box, Hronek playing Grand Rapids. That was the right call. But now when I see that tomorrow, a home game, which is relevant, they might be short 2 defensemen and Hronek's not on a bus this morning, that's a problem.
It can't happen. There's just no point in a season that when there's no serious chance of being competitive or making the playoffs, or you just cannot have that mindset and you're looking to the future. You absolutely cannot be making these decisions to be bringing up Brian Lott. It just does not make sense.
And even when we go back a month or two, Wade Megan. Again, we would have petitioned at the time before we knew about the expansion draft for Philip Zadina. Now we understand that that's not. But again, Wade Megan's a 28-year-old career AHLer. Dominic Turgeon looked pretty good in his call-up last year, didn't he? Axel Holmstrom has his moments. Give Giovanni Smith the boost of confidence if you want, because he won't be up the rest of the year after that. Not that any of these guys are shooting the lights out in Grand Rapids, but these are the guys we need going forward. Wade Megan's probably not even a Griffin in 2 years. Forget a Red Wing. So who cares? It's just, this is all so frustrating.
These are the kind of moves that you do when you need to hold over in a tight playoff race, or you're a really strong team and you just cannot afford to be losing games.
Yeah.
There's symptoms of disillusionment from the situation that you're in.
And the thing is, I don't even know who to be mad at. Is this Blashill telling Holland who he wants, or is this Holland going, here you go, Blashill, this is what you have to work with?
I think this is 100% a Blashill thing. I don't think Holland's of a different mindset, but I think these are Blashill's. Holland typically doesn't force hands on these kind of moves unless it's a dire situation, which happened quite a bit with Babcock.
Yeah, and it could be one of those, I want this guy up no, we have contract implications at play here, and it's not a big enough variance in how it's going to affect the team to deem calling this guy up worth it, right? Like if Blashill goes, we lost Ferk and we lost. I'm trying to think who else is another power play specialist. Rasmussen. Mm-hmm. We need Zadina. And Holland goes, no, he's only playing 9 games this year, so we got to watch that. Sure, I can understand that, but yeah, if Blashill's like, I need a body. Holland goes, okay, who do you want? I want Wade Megan. Okay.
This is the kind of stuff that makes me not, when I'm not inspired that anything is going to change really, because it's just the same crap we've seen year after year after year after year. And it's the stuff that, unfortunately for Blashill, that you can't really shake as a fan when a team goes on a tear or a player's developing well. Yeah, sure, you want to credit Blashill, but it comes with a giant but. He's still doing this crap. It's the kind of decision-making that doesn't... It's like when the player gets injured, you go to Twitter, and legitimately all of the jokes are that, oh, Brian Lashaw's going to be called up. And then it's actually Brian Lashaw. Like, it's memes. It's meme coaching. It's terrible. Yeah, it's not... I don't know.
Speaking of things that have been the same for years and years and years and years, it might not be this year, Jimmy Howard. James Tiberius Howard. Jimothy Howard. I don't actually know his full name.
It's Jimothy.
It's Jimothy. Is he the inverse TJ Oshie? is he Jimothy Timothy?
There is a report from Sportsnet saying that the firm asking price for Jimmy Howard is a first-round pick.
I wouldn't say it's firm, but hey, everybody's like, oh my god, you're not getting a first-round pick for Jimmy Howard. Okay, has nobody been in a negotiation in their life? If you start at a third-round pick, you're getting a fifth. If that's your starting point, if I'm Ken Holland with how amazing Jimmy Howard has played this year, my starting ask is I want a first-round pick and your 4th best prospect. And then hopefully whittle your way down to a first or a second-round pick.
So, the first rule, like one of the most basic tenets of negotiation is you come in higher than you want, you offer lower than what you're willing to give. It's just what both sides do. That is not hard and fast. I don't think you can do that in good faith every single time. And there have been times where Holland has had an asking price that's way too high, and I've said, I don't think this is him, negotiating. I think this is him being just like crazy. We saw that with Glendening last year, where he wanted, what was it, a second?
He almost got it though. Toronto was at a 4th. Like that wasn't a huge divide. So Holland didn't play that. Holland played it poorly by not pulling the trigger.
Exactly, and that's the point.
But he didn't play it poorly on what his initial ask was.
No, and that's my point. As a whole, that negotiation is what I criticize Holland for, because he didn't just take it in the end. Everyone's saying, well, he can't just show that he's soft to other GMs. Look, trades aren't so common in the NHL where GMs have one reputation or another. Even Peter Chiarelli has great trades somewhere buried deep under the thick crust of bad hockey trades. But deep.
Does he?
Just buried deep, Brad. Don't make me find evidence for a claim that I've barely backed in my own head. All right?
You continue making your point.
Can you please not?
I'm actually legitimately curious if Peter Chiarelli has ever made a good trade now.
But the thing is, you cannot go into this asking too much and then just sticking to it like it's reasonable. However, I don't think Jimmy Howard is a bad candidate to come in high. Jimmy Howard right now is posting a .923 save percentage behind a team that just let the LA Kings shoot 44 or 43 times on them. Brad, you just smacked your forehead. What happened?
Man, the first trade that popped up when I searched Peter Chiarelli trade was another like unspeakably bad trade that nobody references anymore.
Which one?
February 18th, 2011. The Boston Bruins acquire Rich Peverley and Boris Vlasic from the Atlanta Thrashers in exchange for Mark Stewart and Blake Wheeler.
Oh.
Oh my god.
There's I ask you not to dig further because I don't want to be made to look stupid here, but I digress away from my point. Brad.
This is gonna entertain me for days, Ryan. You've sunk me down a rabbit hole I'm never gonna come back from. Oh my god.
Jimmy Howard's posting a .923 against a bad team. that's worth a lot, especially to teams who don't have good goalies, where goalies are kind of the difference. They don't really have anything solid to rely on. Jimmy Howard right now seems reliable. A first-round pick in a barren goalie market when there is a demand for one makes sense. It absolutely for sure makes sense. That being said, my worry is that he's going to be asking for a first-round pick and not come away from that first-round pick. I'm afraid he's going to get offered a second, or a second and a decent prospect, or a second and a third. And he's going to say, nope, we are committed to extending him. When Jimmy Howard wants to be in Detroit for sure. Jimmy Howard can be traded and then sign back in Detroit, or Jimmy Howard can be traded, find success elsewhere, and sign there. Anything can happen. But Jimmy Howard is not the goalie of the future. He's the goalie of right now, absolutely. He was the goalie of the past, absolutely. But he's not the goalie. He's not the starting goalie for when the team comes out of this rebuild. Or if he is, he will be for like 1 year, right? So it's worth more to attain the assets for a very valuable upcoming free agent. I'm of the mind that the team should not be extending him at his current rate. I know you differ on that. However, whether or not that happens, you can still trade him first.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be deeply disappointed if he's not a trade. My ideal scenario is trade him at the deadline and then re-sign him in July. Because again, you look at the free agent goalie list this summer, unless you're willing to pay $80 million to Sergei Bobrovsky, there's nothing enticing out there. Jimmy's probably the next best option, and you'll get him cheap, relatively speaking, compared to other starting caliber goalies.
Yeah.
And if you don't get Jimmy Howard gets traded to St. Louis, and they make a miracle turnaround, and he has a ton of fun there. Yeah, he likes it. He wants to stay. He thinks, okay, fine. There's a lot of struggling starting goalies this year who are free agents this summer that you can take a flyer on and hope they rebuild. Looks like Cam Talbot won't be back in Edmonton.
No?
He had a couple good years. He had a few really good years, and then he had a down year last year. He lost his job to Mikko Koskinen this year. He won't cost a lot this summer. A tandem of him and Bernier isn't great, but it's passable, especially on a team that's rebuilding. And hey, maybe it was just him being in Edmonton's terrible defensive system. He comes to Detroit. Quenneville has like a nice system in place, and Talbot bounces back. This is the thing when you're in a rebuild. Take chances. Take flyers on guys. You never know when something's gonna stick.
Jimmy Howard's not going to get traded.
No,
he's going to stick to that first round pick, and then he's not going to trade him, and then after the deadline, he's going to get extended. And it's going to be another wasted opportunity for Ken Holland. That's sure a situation where Detroit extends a goalie who's been successful for them isn't objectively bad. However, given the circumstances, I think it would be, a massive shortcoming in terms of Ken Holland's actions as a general manager. It's one of those basic things that you would expect him to do that sometimes he just, for whatever reason, doesn't follow through on.
It's, to be fair, though, on the scale of players who need to be traded at the deadline, honestly, Jimmy's probably third on the list for the Red Wings. Nyquist probably gets the biggest return. A top 6 scoring winger is in high demand these days, so there could conceivably be a bidding war there, whereas Holland realistically might get at most 2 or 3 teams kicking tires on Jimmy. Nick Jensen won't get the biggest return, but there's a huge logjam at defense, and he'll get an asset in return. And again, a right-handed shooting defenseman who can skate.
On a cheap contract.
Yeah, his puck sense isn't great, but he's a fine bottom pairing defenseman on any team in the league, even if they're a cup contender. So again, it's pretty inexcusable if those two don't move. If he doesn't trade Howard, but he does move those two, and he does manage to extend Howard on a decent contract, it's not the end of the world. That's not going to be the hill I want to die on. Because it might end up being that thing like the Thomas Vanek thing a couple of years ago, where his numbers were so good, everybody's like, yeah, we're going to get a first plus for him. But then everybody with a brain went and looked at him. He's like, yeah, but he's playing like infinity minutes on the power play. He's not playing against anything other than the other team's bottom pairing defenseman on the third line in sheltered minutes. Anybody with a brain can see he's only got value in one very specific situation, so we're not giving you anything for him. Other teams might be going, yeah, he got 923, but he's injured every year. He's 35 years old. He's 35 years old and he's carrying a $5 million cap hit. sorry, we'll give you a fourth.
He's 34.
Yeah, so it's like give him a fourth, and if Holland goes, no, I don't want the fourth, I'd rather keep my goalie. Not the end of the world. So, and the problem is, we'll never know unless he actually trades him, because if he doesn't trade him, we won't know if he turned down a first, we won't know if he turned down a sixth. We won't know. And again, my benchmark on Jimmy, because again, if we're going to look at this at the optics of where is the line of hurting your reputation as a tough negotiator versus the value you're getting back ends on a negotiation like this. If it's a first or a second on the table, you're insane if you don't do it. If it's a fourth or later, I would just keep Jimmy and extend him at that point. If it's a third, that's kind of like my in-between. Okay, give me a third and something, and then maybe. Because realistically, a fourth round pick, you're trading him for a 10% chance at an NHLer, not even an impact NHLer. So it's like, okay, I can totally abide by that, but
that's fair. Now, add the context of Jimmy Howard is stealing a lot of games for Detroit right now. There's probably 6 to 8 points on the board for Detroit that don't happen if Jimmy Howard's not in net. No, you can't be outwardly admitting that you're tanking. And no, you can't just like sit your star player. It can't be that egregious. But trading a goalie who's masking an otherwise poor team defensively pushes you a little bit further down in the standings.
Here's the thing why I don't care about that. No matter what Ken Holland does, it's not going to happen until February. There's going to be such a minimal amount of games after that. Jimmy would only affect at most 4 to 6 points in the standings from that point forward.
Why? I don't understand. Like, it's the same rant I had before. I don't understand why this wait until February.
With the
goalies, I think, can be traded sooner.
Everybody can be traded sooner. I understand the logic a little more with goalies than I do versus position players, like with Mike Green last year. Because right now, the goalie market isn't strong. Ken Holland's going to be in a bigger position of strength if in January or February you're just going to pick a team out of the hat. Pekka Rinne goes down with a season-ending injury, or Connor Hellebuck goes down with a season. So then now you have contending teams who are like, shit, we need a goalie now. And then Holland's like, well, hey guys, I'm going to start the auction at a third-round pick. Do I hear two? Right? Like that's what he's hoping for. There's no guarantee of it. Right now, who's looking for a goalie that will pay a high premium? Honestly, the answer is zero. The only teams looking for a goalie are teams that are so far out of a playoff spot, they're just on a wing and a prayer to turn it around, and those teams are not the teams that pay premiums.
No.
The teams that pay premiums are the Tampa Bay if Vasilevsky goes down in February again, and they're like, we have to win a cup this year, and we can't do it with Louis Domingue in net. They're like, Christ, we need Howard, we need Bobrovsky, we need whoever's available, and then they will pony up because they have to.
Is that a little pie in the sky though to hope for that for basically a top 10 team in the NHL to lose their starting goalie?
It's the only way you're getting a first or a second for Jimmy. It's the only way.
We had some creative ideas a couple episodes ago. You know, packaging and taking back a bad contract.
But that's also hinging on a team like St. Louis, who is terrible right now, having a minor swing that gives them hope, which they have not had.
No. And I've actually been rooting for them. Speaking of St. Louis, we should talk about them.
Oh boy.
Teams that are kind of a disaster that people aren't focusing on. The St. Louis Blues look out of sorts, in complete disarray. Mike Yeo leaving didn't really change too much. There was a fight in practice, like a pretty vicious fight.
Like that wasn't like teammates scrap in practice. It's a little more common than fans tend to think. This wasn't a practice scrap. This was Sanford pissed off Bortuzzo over something, and Bortuzzo was swinging for the fences before Sanford even got his gloves off. I am actually dumbfounded Bortuzzo's still a Blue.
I know, I was like, this guy's not.
He's a bottom pairing defenseman. He is the definition of replacement level player. Yeah. And he swings at a guy. I don't think Sanford's a rookie, but he's a pretty young guy.
You connect on his jaw twice before he even drops his... I don't know, if I'm the GM or the coach watching that, he's gone on immediately. Tell him to go to the rooms and be out of there before the team even gets back. Yeah, absolutely. A teammate's a teammate in practice, and Sanford could have started it, but you don't do what Bortuzzo did. Just completely unloaded on him before he had a chance to have his gloves off, really. And you looking at the guy, he was not expecting a fight.
No.
Not expecting a fight at all, and just took a few clean shots to the face. I don't know. Fights happen in practice for sure. There's scrums, there's tussles. Some are more serious than others. Could even be blood, whatever. It's just...
Gross.
No, and the coach. Like, if you're the coach, how do you let that crap happen?
Yeah, and the fact he was in the lineup the next game.
Yeah. Send a message.
I know, Berube, I get you're the interim head coach, but if you want this job past the end of the season, you did yourself no favors there. And again, it's not like... Okay, so Calgary's leading the West right now. If Noah Hannafin took a swing at Elias Lindholm, I can understand putting them both in the lineup the next game because, hey, we're in first place. We don't want to rock the boat here. St. Louis is a team that's in desperate need of someone kicking them firmly in the ass, and Robert Bortuzzo delivered it to him on a plate, and they said, nah, it's all right, man. It's staggering. And then you start reading the reports that are coming out from the beat writers where the GM's open to anything, even trading Tarasenko because he's having a down year.
Which is so stupid. That was like when Hedman was on the block. When he took like a year too long to develop into a superstar defenseman.
As soon as I heard that rumor, what's the name of Doug Armstrong's the Blues GM? The second that article was posted, there should have been 31 GMs on the phone.
Absolutely.
Everybody's like, oh, why would Detroit trade for him? We're in a rebuild. We don't need... why would we... Because he's in his mid-20s and he's Vladimir Tarasenko.
Yeah, one of the
You
best.
can always use a Vladimir Tarasenko. Is why if I found out this offseason, hey, the Red Wings just threw 8 years, $9.5 million at Artemi Panarin. Why would they do that? Because I really hope we're good in the next 8 years, so yeah, that's a great signing. It's the same thing with Tarasenko.
I actually feel really bad for Tarasenko. The Blues have somehow become kind of obscure within the hockey realm in terms of people being aware of who their players are, what they're doing. Tarasenko is no joke. He's legitimately one of the best forwards in the league.
Yeah.
He just gets slept on a lot.
Yeah, and they're talking about Pietrangelo being on the block as well, Parayko. The Parayko one's dumbfounding to me too, because he's on a great contract.
If Colton Parayko's on the block, you throw the absolute everything in the kitchen sink.
Because low-key, one of the defensemen I was hoping the Red Wings might dabble into this offseason if they swing and miss in Erik Karlsson was Tyler Myers. Because he's quietly effective in Winnipeg. He comes with his flaws, but by and large, he's a very valuable defenseman, and he probably won't command insane money. Colton Parayko's Tyler Myers, but a bit better and 7 years younger, and will be on a better contract.
What's he making, like $5 million a year or something?
5.5 and there's term. I think there's 4 years left on it.
Yeah, that's a fantastic deal. He immediately becomes Detroit's best defenseman.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Probably gets a letter next year.
If there's a team having a full panic fire sale when they absolutely should, when there's a team vastly underperforming like St. Louis and they're having a full panic fire sale, you go and you buy everything you can. And then you bring your wife with you to buy other things so you can have 2 carts full of stuff.
Yeah. The Doug Wilson, if you will.
Yeah, honestly. But it won't happen.
No, it's definitely not going to happen. And again, because the only downside is why, as much as I think Detroit should be throwing the boat anchors to St. Louis right now too, is honestly I don't think Detroit has anything St. Louis would want that they should be willing to give up. Because as much as I would want Tarasenko, as much as I would want Parayko, or whoever, you're not giving up Zadina, you're not giving up Veleno, and there's nothing else in the system that St. Louis would want for them. So
I'd give up Veleno in a Parayko deal.
I would. I think Veleno, because this is one of the things where do I think necessarily Veleno is going to be a more valuable player to his team than Parayko? Probably not. But then I'm also factoring in, well, you're probably going to get an extra 6 years out of Veleno that you won't get out of Parayko, so you have to factor in the age. Parayko's not old, but he's a lot older than Veleno.
How old is Parayko?
I think you want to say 25, 26, somewhere in there.
Is he that old already? I thought he was younger. Oh, he's 25. Okay.
Yeah, and Veleno's 18, so...
Yeah, okay, that changes things a bit. I would probably still make a move for Parayko.
Oh yeah, if I'm Ken Holland, I'm still on the phone right now saying...
No, like if it involved Veleno.
Give us Kyrie back, sure.
Yeah, it'd be nice. On a happier note for St. Louis, they have a service dog that they're training. He's an English Labrador puppy. His name is Barkley. And it is the only thing that's happy, I think, in St. Louis, Missouri right now. He has his own Instagram. I don't know what the handle is, but just look up Barkley St. Louis. I'm sure you'll find him. The cutest thing in the world.
Hockey teams are starting to embrace fun again. I can't wait till it gets to Detroit.
I want every hockey team to have their own dog. Hockey dogs.
What breed of dog would the Red Wings have? What's a Red Wings breed?
I feel like somebody like an old classic, German Shepherd. Black Lab. I don't know.
But the thing is, Detroit's the Motor City. Detroit's a tough city. I feel like Detroit would be a classic bully breed.
Pitbull. Oh, Detroit would be pit bulls, wouldn't they?
Detroit would definitely be a pit bull.
Oh yeah, pit bulls are cute. They're little suckers.
Yeah.
Are they still legal in Ontario?
Yeah, because our province is stupid.
They're cute dogs, man. They're little muscle factories, but they're cute dogs. They're big old sucks.
I love pitties. Anyways, but yeah, oh yeah. Did you hear what the Hurricanes AHL affiliate, the Charlotte Checkers, is doing?
No.
Detroit kind of does it with a couple players, but the Checkers in the AHL have just fully embraced it, and I'm all on board. Whichever player scores, they get their own goal song.
Oh, that's awesome.
Love it. They get to pick it and all that stuff.
That's so good.
Love it.
Carolina is such a funny team.
Because Detroit's only got, 2 players with goal songs? They play Danger Zone when Helm scores, and they play Grease Lightning when Anthony Sius scores.
They played Exco and Give It To You when they still had Let.
Yeah, but he scored 3 career goals.
It's cool every time. They used to play the Irish Jig when Shanahan scored.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much. No, there's not much. It's just a generic goal song.
Yeah.
I think
what
that's
is Detroit's new goal song? I actually kind of dig it.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I love Hey Hey Hockey Town. That's still always going to be my go-to, but the way the new one kicks in after the horn, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm in.
Haven't paid attention, honestly.
It's good. I'm a fan. It's not the most high-paced song in the world, but it still works.
Carolina also is, apparently the new owner, Tom Dundon,
yeah.
hates their white jerseys, and so they just avoid wearing it as much as possible. So they'll wear their reds on the road. They'll just request that the other team doesn't wear.
This is one thing that the AHL does that I don't know why the NHL does. That we're so dead set on colors at home, white on the road. Mix it up. Every other professional league mixes it up. You can wear whatever jersey, just coordinate with the other team. Obviously I'm a Bills fan, so I follow them on Twitter, and every week at the same time there's a post. We're wearing the blues on whites this week, and it's the announcement of the uniform. Oh, color rush this week against the Lions, and everybody's hyped. So, it's why doesn't the NHL do that? And it doesn't have to be color on white every time too. Now you do have to take in certain considerations because there are sometimes things that get overlooked. Because in the NFL, 2 years ago when the Bills played the Jets on,
it was red versus green.
Yeah, and for people with colorblind, apparently those were 2 shades they couldn't differentiate, so it was very confusing. So
I watched a video that simulated it, and you literally could not tell the difference.
So there are considerations like that definitely need to be taken. But yeah, so my ultimate opinion on that is, I generally am fine with colored versus whites, but I don't care if the Red Wings are wearing red or white at home. I honestly don't. And if they mixed it up, it's cool. I mean, the OHL for the last 20 years. I don't know if it's just the Kitchener Rangers. I assume it's every OHL team. They wear their blues for the first half of the year at home and the whites at home for the second half of the year. It's it's fine. It's great. Who cares?
I like, in general, the rule being solid colors at home. But if you have, 41 home games and 10 of them you wear their whites at home, that's great.
Yeah, who cares?
Where if you want to show off your third jerseys, yeah, amazing. Absolutely. I think it's a little... And I think teams... I don't know what the restrictions are, but whenever a team makes a request, Carolina made the request, and I think it was Montreal, I can't remember who they're playing with, yeah, absolutely, that's no problem.
And even at that, I don't understand why teams' away jerseys have to be white. Why couldn't a team like Nashville have a blue home and a yellow away? How many teams would that really clash with in terms of their dark jerseys?
Well, they have to have some kind of white. No, because white is just the, you'll never fail in terms, because it will clash with some team, right?
I'm not thinking of one.
There's blue and yellow would only work for a couple teams. If other teams started doing that, it would be...
No, yeah, it's only the teams that have it. OHL, London Knights, their home jerseys are that, cream color.
Yeah.
or their away jerseys. Sorry, like it's just the NHL's starting to get some things right where they're trying to have more fun and lighten up some things, but they're still way too stale in a lot of ways, and they need to mix it up. Like when we had Merrick on the podcast, he wants to see Athens CU come out and challenge McDavid to fastest skater, and nobody knows he's there. He just comes out onto the ice with like his own grease lightnings playing. The lights go down, smoke comes out.
That'd be cool.
I want that. I want more of that. I don't want the game to get too gimmicky, but at the same time, I don't want it to be baseball.
Boring?
Old.
Yeah, baseball. What is it?
Baseball just refuses to adapt, and I do not want that to be the NHL.
Well, they're adapting backwards. They're getting rid of the shift. It still drives me nuts. I can't believe they're actually considering that.
There's nothing more I want in my life than to see a guy like Prince Fielder bunt against the shift.
Absolutely. I would like to see that variance a little bit more. I think the reason it seems more dull in the NHL compared to the NFL is that they play 82 games versus 16. In the NFL, there's actually a lot of rules as to how many games they can wear, their jerseys, how often they can change their logos, their jerseys, their colors. Yeah, but it's just such a small set of games that it seems more drastic. But then again, that's a point to your argument in that you have 82 games. Why are we sticking to the rules for all of them?
And again, even if you look at the other major sports, even baseball in this one, almost every single team has 3 jerseys. And they wear them they have their 2 primaries, but their third one makes regular appearances. Like, for the Blue Jays, they've got their road grays, and then they've got the whites and the blues, and they get worn in a pretty even mix. Like, if the Red Wings had the barber poles, the red and the white, and they wore the barber poles for 10 games a year, half on the road, half at home, great. I'm all for it.
Are we at the point now where the purpose of not having a third jersey for the sake of tradition is silly?
Yeah, I'm well past that. My thing with the Red Wings jerseys is the 2 they have right now, forever and always, these are the primaries. Do not ever change them. If they wanted to come out with a new third jersey every single year, great. I'm all for it. Wear them for 10 to 15 games a year. As long as they never get rid of their primaries, I'm on board. I think every team should have a third jersey. And again, if you're the NHL, if you're a team owner, why the hell would you not want the extra revenue? If the Red Wings dropped the Centennial Classic jersey again to wear regularly, if they dropped a barber pole, if they dropped one of the 09 Winter Classic, oh, you bet your ass I'm going to buy one if they're wearing it regularly. Hell, they wore most of these once, and I own a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. They're almost all nice.
Yeah, it's...
Even the Centennial Classic jersey, which I didn't like at the time, and I don't even think I like now, I looked for on Black Friday to see if they had one.
It's grown on me a lot. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, actually. But yeah, I mean... This is the stuff about the NHL that drives me nuts. Why can't Seattle be the Kraken?
I think they can. No one's ruling it out. A lot of the beat writers are saying Sasquatch is their joke pick. But I think if you're going to go full joke pick, you have to go Kraken.
Oh, I would be down for that. Dude, could you imagine the badass burgundy design jerseys you could have with Sasquatch?
I know.
Oh, did you see Tom Dundon's quote this week about it's an offensive league. He'd rather win a game 5-4 than 2-1, and that his team's not going to ever draft a defenseman in the first round.
Okay.
Yep, that's not paraphrasing. That's what he said.
Cool. Super cool.
Yep. I really hope if Carolina's picking 6 and we're picking 7 and Bowen Byram's there, it's like, hey, great, we're getting them.
That's amazing. That's horrifying. Owners who meddle in day-to-day operations, that usually goes well, right?
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with him on the I'd rather win a game 5-4 than 2-1. And that's especially true for teams in small markets because you have to draw in fans, and what's going to draw in fans, have an exciting team, which Carolina does this year. I mean, they're not good. Winning would be better. But, hey, if you're going to lose a track meet, at least the fans have some fun. So I like that mindset that he has there, and I think every team should have that mindset. Let's play fast, exciting. But, yeah, you also want to win. So, if you're picking first overall and Rasmus... If Buffalo had picked Andrei Svechnikov, are you going to say no to Dahlin at 2 there, Tom?
Might. Guy's a wild card. Speaking of which, we are going to head over to overtime. We have a healthy amount of comments from our patrons, and we're going to lean into them. Of course, our midweek episodes, overtime.
And he was on Evan's bench.
Our midweek episodes overtime is exclusive to patrons for their comments. Their comments get read out on air, guaranteed, as our way of saying thanks. We're going to start with Sam Shayer, who I believe is a new patron. He says, "Hey guys, I've been a listener since episode 1, but just now a patron because of who I am as a person. Keep up the good work. Anyways, my question is this: what level of success do the Wings need to have before Blash gets any sort of credit? I'm not a fan of him as a coach, but I feel like he should at least get some form of credit if the team continues its recent success. Thoughts?" First of all, thank you, Sam. Thank you for all your support, listening so long, and welcome to the family. Brad, take this one away.
I'm going to give you a very specific statistical answer. If the Red Wings can go above 500 for a 10-game stretch in which Jimmy Howard posts a save percentage of .905 or under.
And yeah, that it's just Jimmy. It has to stop being Jimmy or the Wings winning games in spite of themselves.
And then not to dump on Bernier, he hasn't been great this year, but he's had a couple games where he's been the reason Detroit's won. And by couple, I mean literally 2.
Ryan Kern says, "So I wake up on Tuesday, realize the Wings are in DC, and I'm really disappointed I forgot to get tickets and weigh whether or not to pay the $50+. Decided not to, and after the first period, I feel like I made the smart decision. Based on my math, Cronwall, Jensen, and Witkowski all come off the books this summer. Barring re-signing one of them, would you rather have 2 probably rookies in the lineup or 1 plus a free agent? I'm excluding Erik Karlsson because he's the answer if an option."
If the answer is Philip Hronek and Tyler Myers, that's my pick. If the answer is Philip Hronek and Alex Edler, I'd rather 2 rookies.
Yeah, the same thing. If Alex Edler is the caliber of defenseman to be signed, then I would much rather wait out and hold the rookies. And you never even know who the Red Wings first-round draft pick is going to be either. So
yeah, it could be Bowen Byram. It could be Philip Broberg. It could be Cam York. It could be one of a number of guys. It's not a heavy defensive draft, but there's quality to be had, especially around where it looks like Detroit will be picking. So.
Asher Killian says, "Happy midweek, gents. I recently had the opportunity to go to a Vegas game while I was down there for work and snapped a picture that documented their newfound practice of throwing pink plastic lawn flamingos rather than octopi on the ice to celebrate a win, which seems very Vegas appropriate. If the Wings were to replace their octopus tradition with throwing something similarly appropriate, Detroit appropriate, what would it be?"
Hold on, wait. Are the Golden Knights actually doing this? Is this a thing? Pink flamingos on the ice?
Yeah, there's a picture of the referee with a pink flamingo.
Oh,
they should have been the Las Vegas Flamingo.
That question we had last week when what's our favorite hockey tradition? If this catches on, this is number 2 behind the octopus. And it's not even close. Oh my god.
No. Yeah, that's amazing. The answer to...
Anyway, so if we're not going to throw...
Rowan's replied with no trade clauses, which is hysterical.
So what would Detroit throw on the ice instead of octopi that would be relevant? If you ignore safety hazards, toy cars would be fun.
I was going to say, like, pistons from engines. Just parts that you find in a garage.
Actual tigers.
Actual tigers, yeah.
And lions.
Yeah.
Just cats. We just end up throwing cats on the ice.
Bicycle wheels to pay homage to the origins of the team and its logo.
Dead pigeons?
Yeah.
We need the wings.
Cardinals. The Red Wings, right?
There we go.
Yeah. I'm glad it's octopi.
Somehow that's the better option.
And they're incredibly intelligent creatures. Garrett TV says, "Hi guys, I'm just now emerging from the fetal position I fell into while watching the Wings Caps game. On the bright side, it was a Hughesian effort. No question, but a comment on one of my favorite Wings memories. It was the 61st win of the 95-96 season, the game in which we broke the Canadiens' record of 60 wins in a season. And it was against the Hawks. It was a chippy game and followed a chippy game against the Hawks a few days prior. At one point during a stoppage in play and after some jawing back and forth, Dino Ciccarelli cold-clocked Enrico Ciccone."
Enrico Ciccone.
He wrote Enrico... Was it pronounced Ciccone?
Yeah.
I like Ciccone, but he wrote in Rio. In the face, and after double-checking that, the ref was looking the other direction. It was so cheap and so 90s rock'em sock'em hockey, but it was also hilarious. I think he knocked 3 Hawks players to the ground. As a 12-year-old, it was unreal to watch, and I still have it on VHS somewhere. Anyways, let's please never break up Larkin and Nyquist. Anyway, that's all. Go Wings.
About that.
Taylor Hunter says, "Hey guys, alright, if any Wings player was someone from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, who would it be? Also, I think Creed would be Johan Franzen." Ooh. I know you're not wrong, but I can't figure out why you're right.
Okay.
Red Wings players who are from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay. Controversial pick, Jonathan Ericsson as Rosa. dark hair, quiet, but knows he can F you
No,
up.
Rose is too competent. I think Rose is... I actually think Jonathan Erickson's one of...
Hitchcock and Scully?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very, very fair. Michael, okay, he's young, but Michael Rasmussen is Captain Holt. The serious, just dry, the dryness to them.
Larkin is definitely Jake.
Oh yeah, Larkin is Jake. So then who would Larkin's Boyle be?
Bertuzzi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bertuzzi would absolutely be Boyle.
Then we gotta get, who is Sergeant Jeffords? Terry Jeffords.
Luke Witkowski.
No. Like, Jeffords is like one of the leaders. He's the big, strong guy. Mantha?
Maybe.
Big guy? Big guy? Big guy, competent, good?
No, but Jeffords is older. He's like a mentor.
Cronwall.
Yeah, maybe Cronwall.
Jeffords is Cronwall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gina. Who's Gina?
Oh, no! Bertuzzi is 100% Gina. The goofy one? Come on.
Yeah, that might make
Bertuzzi is
sense.
Gina.
Yeah.
Nyquist is Boyle.
What about, okay, Amy. I feel like Bertuzzi's Amy.
No. Amy's the nerdy one that loves Jake, so... Who's the nerdy guy that follows Larkin around?
Bertuzzi.
I feel like that's Nyquist, actually.
That might be Nyquist.
That's okay, yeah.
I feel like Zadina's Gina. He's kind of flashy. He's flashy and wacky. And is underappreciated.
No. Bertuzzi Gene is too good. We gotta leave that one. So we keep unfilling Boyle.
I don't know, that one's tough. Boyle. Okay, Boyle's kind of ridiculous. He's annoying at times, but he's also very competent.
And unbelievably loyal. Oh my god. He's Darren Helm.
Oh god, yeah, he is Darren Helm.
He is Darren Helm.
Boyle has absolutely Darren Helm. Oh, jeez.
And then Hitchcock and Scully are obviously Daly and Erickson.
Yep, 1,000% they are.
Yeah, just... and are we forgetting anybody, like, of the main characters? I think we covered them all.
I think that's mostly everyone.
Who's Doug Judy?
Who's Doug Judy? Vanek, he keeps coming back!
And every time he convinces you that this time is going to be good, and then towards the end he screws you over again, and then he leaves. Vanek as Doug Judy is my favorite pick.
Who's the vulture?
Rowan said, at Ryan, you mentioned on Twitter that 32 teams was the perfect amount and there should be no more expansion. While I mostly agree, I think it would be good if the NHL expanded again so LA and Chicago could get an NHL team. I'll never not laugh at that. Missed a jersey question last time. Are there any teams you hate that have a jersey you really like? Any incarnation, any era? Example, I hate the Dark Birds and Bear team, obviously, but their 91-92 jerseys are superb.
Oh man, teams we hate with great jerseys, man, the Hawks are classics.
Hawks, Pittsburgh's current.
Pittsburgh's I'm lukewarm on. I like them, but I don't love them. Teams I dislike. I mean, I hate the current iteration of the Ducks, but I loved the 90s Ducks when they had those jerseys, so I guess that doesn't count.
The Ducks have such fun jerseys.
Montreal, man. Montreal's are so good.
Toronto's are really nice jerseys,
No.
but I don't love them, you know?
No, I don't like them. They're bottom 10 jersey, bottom 5 maybe even for me in the league.
Whoa.
I do not like them at all. I liked almost every iteration of their jersey better than this one. Not the logo, but the jersey. Thing is, a lot of the other teams I dislike I don't really love their jerseys either. So.
I think Pittsburgh's my answer. I think their home and aways are just so nice. Ever since they switched away from Vegas gold to the Pittsburgh yellow, it's been perfect.
No, if we're just picking one favorite for me, it's Chicago, hands down.
Moving on to our next question. From Liam Watson, he says, "What's up, guys? On top of the stress of finals, seeing the Red Wings subreddit have an honest-to-God upvoted thread on whether or not Blashill should be in the Jack Adams conversation. I nearly blew a gasket. Show me a Jack Adams winner, and I'll show you a hot goalie." Yeah, the subreddit's a funny place lately.
Show me a Jack Adams winner, I'll show you a team comfortably in a playoff spot.
My question for this week is, if you could improve the Wings breakout in any way, how would you do it? Keep up the good work. This podcast helps me stay sane.
Okay,
faster defenseman.
Here we go. No, here we go. This is my time to shine. Okay. First of all, 4 players in the goddamn zone all skating in the same direction. Okay?
Same direction.
Same direction.
Now you're getting crazy now, Brad.
defenseman behind the net with the puck, centerman and the other defenseman, winger, I don't really care who, double cross, so you have options coming up. And then the fourth guy's coming, skating in towards the defenseman up the boards and cuts up the middle. So it sounds overly simplistic, but you're running 3 guys out of the zone, so you have options, boards, middle boards. Then, depending on which option you give the puck to, the guy on the opposite side runs across. And you still, I do like the concept of having the player on the far blue line to spread the other team out, but have him moving across the blue line so that if you catch their defenseman sleeping, you can hit him with the long pass to turn and split the defenseman, but that will happen 1 out of 100 times, so he's mainly just there to spread the defenseman out and be the outlet if your breakout gets messed up, not the default go-to. So yeah, basically, 4-man breakout, options on either boards, other option runs across, guy on the far blue line running across the blue line. It's not a super complicated system, but it's effective.
The Red Wings don't have the personnel, in my mind. You genuinely, in my head, you need to change the personnel. They don't have the foot speed, the decision making, the puck handling, or the ability to even make the damn pass.
Yeah, but they don't have the ability to do any of the stuff they need to do on the current breakout either. So you might as well at least try it, because half the team will royally screw it up. But if you get Larkin and Mantha and Nyquist on the ice running this breakout, that will create a lot of chaos. Yeah, I would not have Glendening and Adlocator running this, but at the same time, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I'm a fan of running different breakouts for different lines.
Colin Smith says, "Hi guys, going back a couple weeks here. Something made me notice what felt like a lot of bouncing pucks and guys in their butts during the Colorado game last week. Then I couldn't unnotice it against the Lightning and again versus the Islanders and the Kings. But as if by magic, I didn't see the same level of whoops in Toronto or Washington. Jokes about talent level aside, because I'm sure you could make them, has anything been said of the ice quality at the LCA this year? I know there were concerns early on in the Pistons players complaining about the cold in the arena, but I haven't heard anything in over a year. Bigger picture for someone who has never played, just how impactful is the quality of the ice on a game? Is it not that big a deal, or something that can be game planned like a soggy field in football? Or is a bad ice one of those it is what it is things that both teams just buckle up and roll with? Thanks for all the time and hard work on the podcast. I feel like I've become a better fan because of what I've learned listening to you guys. Keep it up." Thank you for the support. I think it's something in between. It definitely impacts the game, but it's also, I think, a little bit more standard.
Depending on the type of player you are, if you're a skill player, it affects your game massively. How many times, I'll start by saying I agree with you. I have noticed the ice quality at the LCA does not seem great. I have seen what you have seen. And the guy that it really sticks out to me with is Athanasiou. Because how many times have we seen him go down the ice, make a move, and then he bobbles it and ends up in the corner, but it doesn't really look like he messed anything up. So when you're moving at this speed, Athanasiou does, every little chip, crack in the ice is going to exacerbate how much that puck's going to kick up in the air or start rolling or whatever. And yeah, if the ice is not hard enough, if it's soft, it gets really slushy and snowy. I know they have crews to remove that, but honestly, like, even in my shitty beer league, from the first period to the third period, it's night and day difference. Like, it makes a big difference. It makes the skilled players.
It makes a difference. I don't think it takes a lot of game planning. It's a different way of playing hockey.
No, you don't change anything.
You got to be ready. Like, if it gets really bad, you got to be ready to dump it in a little bit more. Not spend so much time with smaller passes and stick handling in the neutral zone, because you're going to risk losing the puck. But in general, players know how to. By that level, players know how to adapt to it. But I have noticed, and other teams have noticed, and the public has noticed, that the ice at the LC is not good.
Yeah, and again, it comes back to that conversation too about how you practice, and the quote I always bring up from John Tavares that from a couple of years ago that I thought was brilliant. He's like, any idiot in the NHL can stick handle a flat puck, can shoot a flat puck, can dangle with a flat puck. Even Luke Witkowski can do all that. The guys that are really good, that have the elite hands, can do all the things with a flat puck, with a puck that's bouncing and rolling. They can still get the shot off, they can still make the pass, they can still make the play. That's what separates the elite puck handlers from the crappy puck handlers. So, again, it doesn't create an advantage or a disadvantage for anybody, but you got to adapt to it. And this is one of the things where I think Larkin's got really good. And Bertuzzi's really good at too. Those two in particular on the bad ice, they just don't lose the puck. You can tell even when that puck's bouncing all over the place, they still have the ability to corral it. They don't have the one-on-one moves that Athanasiou does, but they're a lot better at adapting than Athanasiou is.
Dan Bell says, "Hey gents, glad the Caps were able to knock the Wings back down to reality. First things first, Blashill is Kevin from The Office, with Abby being Nard Dog. Second, Toozy Burt would be Rose's boyfriend from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Guy seems totally crazy and willing to do anything for the team."
No, that would be Witkowski. Pimento is Witkowski.
Yeah, Pimento is Witkowski.
Pimento is absolutely Witkowski, right down to the beard.
Lastly, I know I mentioned this on Twitter, but it would be an option in the future to maybe have a live blog or chat room for us Patreon people to talk during the game. Not sure what that would entail, but just a thought. Cheers. We do have our Discord. Maybe we should tie our Discord to Patreon only then.
Maybe. Abdulkader would be the vulture. Comes in and steals the credit for everything. Oh my god.
Stan Olsen says, "Hey guys, hope all is well. I had the time of my life watching Ovi and Holtby dismantle our team in person. I've seen the Wings 3 times this year and we've lost every game. Oh well. So when did the Hawks start shopping Duncan Keith? Also, here are some Seattle team names I thought of. None of them will be used, but it's fun to brainstorm. Seattle Soundwaves, Swordfish, Beavers, Super Duper Sonics, Frigates, and my favorite, the Seattle Russell Wilsons. I believe that's taken by a WNBA team. Don't quote me on that.
I love the Super Duper Sonics.
I'd bet $100 that the jerseys have the Space Needle on them. Oh, that's screaming to be a shoulder patch.
Oh, 100%. I would love it too. Like,
yeah.
It's perfect. I'm actually a little rattled the Leafs don't do it, but hey, the Leafs suck, so it's fine.
Taylor Jimenez says, "Hey guys, I've recently started stick and puck at my local rink. Any tips for a beginner getting into hockey at the age of 22? Love the podcast. Keep up the good work."
Skating is everything.
Skating is everything.
Because you can be as good of a puck handler and shooter on dry land as you can, but it ain't the same when you've got knives on your feet.
Yeah.
So learn to skate. Honestly, learn the basics and don't think you're too old to go around practicing them. Learn crossovers. Learn the T-stride. Learn whatever you have to do so you're a competent skater, and then everything else will come after that.
Don't be afraid to suck. Don't be afraid to suck. Don't be afraid to fall. It's so much of this is innate muscle memory and movement that you won't develop any way other than practice.
And another thing too, just because you're new, and this is one of my bigger pet peeves for when you work your way up to shinny, do not be afraid to ask someone about shinny etiquette. Because there's certain things in shinny you just don't do that unless you've played hockey for all, you don't do. Like, if you're skating through the slot and there's a defenseman between you and the goal and you're like, hey, I've got a good shot here, I can fire through the screen. You do not do that in shinny. You do not shoot a puck past a person because we all have to work tomorrow. You don't want to bounce one off someone's ankle and like chip a bone or something dumb like that. So there's unwritten etiquette that goes into shinny. Learn it.
Moving on, Chris Cannell says, "Hey guys, so I was watching Hockey Central at noon last week and Brian Burke was asked who Dylan Larkin reminded him of, and he said Paul Byron. I then proceeded to pause my TV and rewind it just to make sure I heard that correctly, and I in fact did. So my question is, what is the worst take you've heard this week? Doesn't have to be about the Wings. Have a good one, boys. Appreciate all the hard work you guys have been doing." I think it's that. I did not hear him say that.
That's bad. I'm going to say we will not draft defensemen in the first round.
Ooh, that one's up there. Yeah, that's just a bet. Again, you just don't. If you're an owner, don't meddle in the day-to-day. It just does not work. Well, I mean, I would use Jerry Jones as an example, but Amari Cooper has kind of paid off well for the Dallas Cowboys. But comparing Larkin and Byron has to be there.
What's the name of Oakland's GM?
Their owner, Davis.
He's the GM too?
I think he's the... I don't know.
Well, either way, whoever's running that team should win GM of the year because he's made 2 teams significantly better this year.
That actually... Well, no, who makes the call? It's the coach, the Gruden.
Gruden?
Yeah, Gruden makes the calls, really.
Because the Bears went from an RA team to an elite team, and the Cowboys have rattled off 5, 6 straight wins since they got Amari Cooper? I'm just saying.
Ian says, "Hey guys, on the plus side, my 5-month-old son got featured on the Wings Insta feed after catching the eye of an NHL photographer at warm-ups before the Caps game. On the minus side, I was at the Caps game. That is a cute picture. Oh my god. That's great. Oh, poor kid."
He won't. Luckily for him, he won't remember that game.
I like that so many people saw that Wings Caps game just in person. I think it's cool to see Ovechkin score a hat trick. Isn't he on pace for like 70 goals right now?
And it's also cool to. I know not a lot of people get the opportunity to, but there's something that's different but special about watching the Wings in another building, being the enemy. It's fun.
I don't think I've ever watched that.
I was my favorite one of all time. So if you go back to, I want to say it was 2013-14. Remember how the Leafs were really good all year, and then they had that epic eight-game losing streak that dropped them out of the playoffs, and Detroit leapfrogged them to get back into the playoffs towards the end of the season?
Mm-hmm.
So the eighth game of that eight-game losing streak for the Leafs was in Toronto against Detroit. It was literally the game where Detroit leapfrogged them. I was there in the Air Canada Centre in the Sea of Blue. It was Darren Helm's only career hat trick.
Oh, yeah.
Leaf fans were giving me all the shit at the beginning of the game.
How didn't they kill you?
And they said nothing from the third period on. I didn't hear a peep. Not a word. It was magical.
And on that note, we are going to take the rest of the night off. I have to go watch my fantasy football team lose in the semifinals, despite being the overwhelming favorites. We would like to thank everyone.
Hold on, you can't finish that sentence without me pointing out that I currently am in first place in our fantasy league.
Yeah. We'd like to thank all of our listeners, all of our Patreon supporters, our name-level sponsors through Patreon: Sean Levine, Chad Hiersack, Sky Carcass, Arjun Shankar, Clayton Van Dyken, Langabir, Derek Shippard, Ryan Lewis, Kaylin Wood, Charlie Elkins, Stan Olson, Dan Bell, and Hannah Lee. Thank you all so much. For all of you who listen, thank you for supporting us. If you'd like to support the show in other ways, follow us on Twitter at WingedWheelPod, and then follow our personal accounts in the bio. We're very active on Twitter. Give us a follow, give us a shout. We'd love to chat with you about hockey, or anything you want, really. Fun fact, I signed off an email as thanks Rutabaga instead of thanks Ryan, so I have to quit my job now.